All right, I think I'm going to change this to can you make a logo in Procreate? Because I've had so many discussions on Facebook about logos, about vectors, about all that nonsense. Procreate, Illustrator. There's no competition with Illustrator. If you're trying to do it full time, if you're trying to do a lot of logos for a lot of other people, for companies, if you're a professional, yes, you want to do Illustrator, Affinity Designer, you want to do vectors. 100%. That's not my argument. The only thing I'm saying about Procreate is it's an amazing tool, and if you can get good at getting straight lines, then you can make a really beautiful logo. You can make it for yourself, or you can make it for someone who just wants something for shirts, for postcards, for social media. You can 100% make logos in Procreate. It's not black and white. So everyone's going to tell you, oh, you need to learn a new program, learn Affinity Designer, learn Adobe Illustrator. But I've never used Affinity Designer, but Illustrator is a very difficult application to learn. I worked on Photoshop forever, but Adobe Illustrator is still supremely difficult for me and just very annoying because I like to draw. I don't like to be typing on keys and make my art that way and using a mouse. I like to draw. So my canvas size for making my logo is 3000 by 3000 pixels, 300 dpi. So we have a square. That's what I pretty much use for all of my own work, my client work, and for my logos. But also notice how I'm drawing big. My sketch is big. If you use this size, but then you work on a small area, it doesn't matter. So you want to work big. Always do your sketch on a separate layer. That way, you just have it. You can work with it. You can change the opacity. So you can set your sketch really light. And then for now, I'll just use black. But I'm going to use Butterblade. But really, you can use Studio Pen. It works very similar to that. You just want to be in a new layer, and you just want to trace. You want to trace your logo. The main thing to pay attention to is when you have shapes like this, they're going to be difficult to get right. So as much as you can, use these when it snaps to the shape that you want. So you want to follow your lines, but also use these shapes. So see how I use two of these shapes to sort of smooth this out? So I'm going to do this quickly, obviously, because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this logo. But you see how I spend a lot of time on getting this right and using the snap tools. That'll make your life a lot easier. And don't do this much, but for little bits like this, you can use Liquify and move your line into place. Just don't overuse it, because then it might get blurry. And now we have our shape here. We can fill it, and it's pretty clean. And you'll just have to eyeball it. If there's something, if this needs to be puffed out a little bit more, I usually just use Liquify, and I can make those small, tiny changes that I might want to make. Now another trick. So as you see here, I'm going to minimize that shape because I have these swirls. Now this is fairly difficult, so what I'm going to do is make a new layer above that, and then I'm just going to take a different color. Like I'll use red, and I'll use the same blade. So what I'm going to do now is just concentrate on tracing the shape. Now you may have to do this 50 times until you can really get it right. There's really no shortcut to really tracing your lines cleanly. You have to just really work and sort of come in and then work on it. I like to use Liquify if there's things that I need to adjust. And then hopefully I can make them look clean. Sometimes I have to go back in and I'll use a snap tool just to sort of give it that nice clean curl. So I'll do this all throughout my lines and make sure my lines are perfect. Now the reason why I do this on a new layer is because when I bring my opacity of my shape back, I can tap this, I can hit select, and then I can go to my shape. I'll hide the red, I'll go to my shape, and then I'll just hit cut. And that will give me whatever lines that I just made. So there's lots of little tools and easy ways to really make your life a bit easier, rather than using your eraser and actually drawing on this black shape. So you are going to have to work on your lines and just make sure they're really straight, and just go in, and if you need to adjust here, just go in, and sometimes you have to flip the canvas and just make the lines even. Things like that. So now I'm going to think of this as one element. And, oops, I meant to clear that. So now, as far as the body goes, I'm going to do that on a new layer. I'll use black again. So make sure your lines are pretty thick. You want them to be thick for logos. And again, I'm just doing this really quickly. Also, when you're drawing, when you're thinking of a design, you don't want to use too many colors. So for this design, I wind up only using 2 colors, maybe 3 max. So I have the body here, and I have this break, so I have like the back of his skin, and then I have his little underneath his mouth. So what I'm thinking about now is what colors I want to make things. So we have our black for the outlines, but the black is also a color. So let's say we were going to use black and white. So I'm going to change this shape to white. I'll put it over that line art. So let's say I want to use this, I want to make this black. So I'll go there, and I'll make that bit black. I'll make this bit black. And now we have all these details, but we have to figure out how to make them all black and white. So, and again, this is just super speed, so you can kind of see how I think about a logo. So this can be black. Maybe this line here can be black. And that's pretty good for the eyes. So for the mouth, he's got teeth, but I'm just going to concentrate on the parts I want black. Okay, so now we have this section, which I'm going to do underneath because I like to separate things in different layers. It just makes it easier if I need to adjust later on. So I'll make this white. I make the teeth white, which is nice because it's not touching this area, but then I can also color this area white. So when you make your logos, try to just use 2 different colors, 2 to 3 different colors, because once you really get into a lot of colors, then you can start running into some issues, and it can get a little a bit complicated, and then it's harder to read from further away. You want to make everything really easy to read from far away. Okay, so now the eyes. You can put in your eyes here. And you might even want to, oh, that was terrible. And you might want to do things like separate. And you have to like test this out, but it might be worth it to separate things like that. Just because, let's see. I'll separate this too. See how that looks. And just separate things. And scroll back and just make sure that it still looks like whatever you're trying to draw from further away. That's very important in a logo. It might even be worth it to take part of one color and just get rid of it. So we have this shell which doesn't have a black outline. So it might be worth it to make a new layer underneath everything. So it might be worth it to make a black outline and then color this in. So that would give everything a black outline, maybe even the eyes as well. So you might want to give everything a black outline. Or you might want to just keep it a more clean look. Let me get rid of this sketch underneath. Get rid of this clean look, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make this black line on this side white. So I'm going to select it, and actually we'll just erase it. So the reason why I'm doing this is I want to match that shell is clean on that side. There's no black outline. So I'll remove the black outline from the other parts of the white. So something like this. I apologize, the eyes look terrible. They're bugging me. So something along those lines. So here is my, let's see, where is my actual snail? Okay, so this is the one that so this is pretty much my logo, doing everything that we just talked about. This is just text. I did an add, and this is just the text tool. Cleaned up all my lines. As you can see, they're not absolutely perfect, because that's just the nature of a raster program, which is what Procreate is. But everything looks good, pretty straight. All my lines I'm very happy with. And it's a good balance. And as you can see, instead of black, I'm just using the background color. So whatever I change the background color to, that's the color of the snail. It's just going to match. And again, this is only 2 colors, which is the most simple you can do. Well, I mean, really, it's only 1 color. You don't want to use too many colors, because then it starts getting complicated. You want it to look legible, even if it's small, and you want to easily read whatever the brand is. I can even use a more legible type than this, but I just like this. I like this text. But be careful using a lot of those really wispy, twirly texts. They're very, very difficult to read. And that's the most important thing with a logo. If it has a word, if it has a brand in it, that has to be read. Like, you want to immediately see that and have it clocked in anyone who's seeing it in their brain. And whatever you're drawing, it needs to be clear too. Like, clearly this is a snail. So those are the most important parts. You have to spend a lot of time on the artwork. It's not going to be as clean as a vector app, but I don't do vector artwork. This is the kind of artwork I do. So I want my logo to represent that. I don't want it to be computer mathematically clean and perfect and precise. I'm not printing on billboards. I'm not making any posters or anything huge. So it would just be a waste of time for me to learn a whole new application to do my own logos and the logos I've done for other people. If they ever want to get a logo, then they can pay someone who does Illustrator to make that for them. But it's a lot to learn a completely different application when you have a perfectly good one here. You just have to concentrate on getting your lines smooth and crisp and just taking the time to do that. Okay, sorry for that rant. So the next thing you want to do is get rid of the background. So you want to be able to see what it looks like on a black background, number one, but you also don't want to carry over the background when you're making your file. So you just go to Share, PNG, and now you can send it to your computer or you can just save it. So I've saved this as did I save it as a PNG? I wasn't even paying attention. I do everything so quickly because I'm just so used to doing certain things. So I save it as a PNG. Now I'm going to go to my photos here. Now as you can see, it's white, but it's actually not white. That's just what this program does. So as you can see, once I click it, then it opens as a file. And again, you can go in and check, just make sure everything is how you like it. So again, this is on a 3000 by 3000 canvas, and this is my logo that I've done everything, the sketch, the line work, everything in Procreate, and I will show you the end product. So I actually got this printed with TeePublic, and I actually I did some other shirts, but I had to get them reprinted because sometimes the printer will print them blurry. But luckily I had multiple designs of the same thing, so some were absolutely crisp and clear. So I knew it wasn't the file. It was just the printing was misaligned or something like that. So here's the first one. This is fairly small, but this is the print from TeePublic, which I'm very happy with. It's nice and clean and clear. As you can see, the design is a little different because I had a few different types of this logo. But then I got it reprinted on a purple shirt just because I like the purple color. And yeah, this is a different one with crypto snails on it. But printed nice and perfect and clean. I'm very happy with it. TeePublic has a lot of sales, so I think this was maybe like $13. So I can print logos all day. I can come up with all the logos I want to and get them printed. You know, if I make stuff, I like to print it. I like to wear my own designs and things like that. So, I mean, I hear so much that you can't do logos in Procreate, and that you can't, that you need to use a different application, and it's just not true. Depending on what you're using, depending on what you're gonna print, you can make some beautiful logos with Procreate. It doesn't, obviously, this could have been any color, any combination of colors, but for logos, generally speaking, you don't want to have it shouldn't be an illustration. It should be a logo. Even this is a lot for a logo. There's a lot going on. I could simplify this a lot more and make it even more simple. But this is what I wanted to do. I think that's pretty much it. So once you have the PNG file, you can just upload it to a print-on-demand service. As far as printing things in color, sometimes you just have to get a print. Just buy one and see how it looks. See how it prints in comparison to your artwork on your computer screen. For me, I never really worry about that too much because there's so many differences in screen, how it looks on your iPad, to your phone, to your computer, and then the colors that they're printing and all of that stuff. Again, if you really are into it, if you really want to do it as a profession, if you're really getting into it to make a lot of logos, then go with the vector program. Learn the differences between CMYK and RGB and color profiles and things like that. Really learn about it. But generally speaking, if you can make straight lines and if you can really simplify art, like this and make it look nice, crisp, and clean, then you can make t-shirts. I have some other shirts where it's actually a lot bigger than this and it still looks fine. You can do a lot. So this obviously works with social media, things like that. Just find out what the client, if someone wants you to do a logo, find out what they're gonna want to use it for. Most people don't even realize what a logo is. They'll just say a logo and they actually want an illustration of something, or like a whole banner with like some sort of illustration in it. Or most people don't know what a logo is. So you're gonna have to just play it by ear. But if they just want a few shirts, if they just want social media, Procreate 100%. You can do it. You don't have to learn a new application. Again, because I know I'm going to get comments with people saying, no, it's got to be Illustrator, it's got to be vectors, it's got to be vectors. It doesn't have to be vectors, especially if you're just doing a one-off logo or if you're doing your own stuff and you know what it's used for. It doesn't have to be vectors. I hate working in vectors. I'm not going to learn it. I might try Affinity Design just because I think that's all within the iPad. So I might try to learn that app because I do like doing things like this, and there is a possibility that I could do a very large scale. But for now, it would be a waste of time. I love Procreate. I love working in Procreate, and when I make logos, I want to draw it. I don't want it to be computer manipulation with Beezers and all that stuff. I don't like working that way. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my rant. Don't listen to them. They're all going to say use vectors. But as long as you know what you're doing, and as long as you're not getting it, as long as you don't need it for a billboard on the side of a building or something like that, you will be absolutely fine. Again, work big on your canvas. This is 3,000 by 3,000. If you're scared, do 4,000 by 4,000. But it can be done 100%. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. Here's the proof. I've made stickers, children's books, all of that stuff. Don't make it more overcomplicated than it is, because everyone on Facebook thinks they're like, everyone in Facebook has been in the industry for 20 years and they know the exact right answer. It's not black and white. So don't go crazy. Procreate makes some great work. I'm very happy with my shirts. And yeah, so here's my little snail logo. All right. See you guys in the next one. Gotta clean my desk.